everything was pretty normal. We were right on track to get ready for the bait season, to go throw the cast net. No health issues. I've always been very healthy. When the oil spill happened, of course, everybody went into panic. We knew that being a cast net fisherman, we were going to be in jeopardy. I'm not going to throw my net in the oil if it shows up. Then BP came out with the Vessels of Opportunity program. I, of course, immediately jumped on board, and so did my partner. Both of us immediately took advantage of the opportunity. That was a good way to save our summer. I did 71 days total on hire, but I worked 46 days in the field. We made sure the boat was ready, exactly what they wanted us to put on the boat. Joined up with some of the other boats that had already been doing it. I eventually moved up to where they broke us into what they call task force and a strike teams, and we were in the Bay group. The first part of the program, I spent several days out in the open Gulf, and then after about a week and a half of that, they took the littler boats and put us strictly in the Bay. I first started feeling the effects that there might be a problem with, health issues. Sometime in early July is when I would come home in the afternoons and have a headache. I also lived in a condo on the beach on Okaloosa Island. And I know my railing was covered with oil sometimes. I say covered, it had a film on it. I'd have to clean it a couple times a week. It was a habit for me to go outside, and I actually laid my arms on the rail when I was talking on the phone. And early on, I had sores and rashes that blew up on my arms that I couldn't get to heal. And I finally, after about 3 weeks or 4 weeks, every time it would rain, they would blow up. I realized I put two and two together that I was getting this from my railing at my condo.
This right here on my arms, it just started breaking me out, and I can bump either one of these dark marks in there and it just starts bleeding.
I went to a skin disease specialist, and he told me that my rash, that it is staph infection. I've had to stay here. I can't be outside in the heat at all. Basically what I've had to use is cotton balls, gauze, Band-Aids, tape, betadine, triple antibiotic ointments, pain medicine.
I really didn't have any bad health crashes until the end of August. When I received my contract termination letter, I knew that now the boat didn't have to be available, so I went back to work. I tried to. The first night I went fishing, I fish in the dark a lot, and then I'm ready for the boats when they come out in the morning to buy the bait. I went and set up in my normal area that I fish out in the Gulf. I threw my cast net for about 30 minutes, and at the end of that 30 minutes, I started getting a bad headache. My sinuses were clogged, and I actually could tell that I had stuff on my skin that wasn't normal. I realized that it was, chemicals or oil or something, and I got sick. I got nauseous, and I was vomiting, had a lot of problems. After 30 minutes, forget it. I threw my net down. I came back to the house. I tried again the next night. I thought I'd give it another shot. So I tried a different part of the beach. Tried the east side where we didn't see quite as much oil in the program. So I went to the east side, and the same thing happened immediately. I just had unbelievable symptoms. I got sicker and sicker, so I came home right away. Threw in the towel at that point. I said, I'm not even going to do this. I came on with what I thought was a cold. The cold blew up into a flu. Flu turned into pneumonia-like. All the symptoms started. Nausea, fever, dizziness, everything that you could associate with a pneumonia, pretty much. Bad chest pains, but something wasn't right. Had blood in my urine, blood in my nose, that kind of thing. So I got concerned. I went to the doctor. He didn't really diagnose me with much other than some kind of flu, Put me on antibiotics. The antibiotics made me worse. I just had a complete crash out. So that's when I met Ricky Ott. I asked her if there was a test that she knew of that I could test for chemicals. I felt like I was chemically poisoned. I fought the medical center tooth and nail to get them to agree to even order the test for me. The only reason I got it was because I've been a patient there for 5 years. So I ordered the test. The results came back. The levels being as high as they were, it was obvious that it happened from the chemicals that I had been exposed.
My worst problem is my lungs. Constant, continuous pain from chemical burn. I get extremely dizzy and nauseated.
After that, I got worse and I became bedridden. I basically thought I was going to die. I caught wind of a doctor in Orange Beach. I went and saw him. His name was Dr. Herson. When I walked into his office, I had my results with me, and I asked him to read them to me. On his evaluation, he did write that what I had was toxic exposure. It was due to that, and it was causing all of these pneumonia, flu-like symptoms. And I feel like I lived a pretty clean lifestyle before this. I never had any issues, and I was always health conscious. throughout my life.
My throat started burning real severe. Say, I don't know what's in that stuff, but it's bad.
You accumulate chemicals over time. The oil spill was the atom bomb or the trigger. You drop an atom bomb of toxic chemicals like that on a body, the body can't handle it. It can't keep up with the natural detoxification, and that's what happened to me. Firmly believe that, and so does he. I didn't have any problems before the oil spill. I do know that I was overloaded with toxic chemicals from the oil spill. I know that. That is what has caused my health collapse. There's no doubt about it. As I got worse, I went back and saw him on a second time. I told him I wasn't getting any better. He put me on 2 rounds of Z-Pak antibiotics. By the time I got started on the second round, they were about to kill me.
I went out to see that full moon come up on the harvest moon. And that night when I got home, I had a major attack of my throat and head. It felt like knives were sticking in my throat, and my throat closed up. And ever since then, I have not been able to talk.
Your face appears to be quite swollen.
It's about 3 times its size, and so is my neck.
What's the bruising on your chest?
I don't know. It just appeared.
And is it only up high? Is it elsewhere?
No, it's down here too, all around my diaphragm. I have been on enough prednisone to kill a horse, and I have had 2 shots, and I have been on 4 different kinds of antibiotics, and nothing is touching this at all.
And he had told me on the second visit not to come back because there really wasn't a whole lot he could do for me. I needed to see a toxicologist. I didn't know what to do. I got desperate.
I've been to several doctors, to the emergency room, looking for help, and I was just misdiagnosed and passed along. And when you mentioned the word BP, they didn't believe what you were saying. They wanted to dismiss you.
Went to every medical center, and I caught wind of Dr. Soto through a reporter who'd actually found him for another patient. And I immediately came here. That was on November the 15th, and I've been here ever since. Well, according to him, when you first start the detox program, it is going to make you sicker because you're releasing the toxins into your body. So I did get very sick right at the first part of the program. It was a hard first month. It was really tough. The chemicals had destroyed my gut immunity, and the heavy metals were off the charts. I had a lot of problems at that time. And then I did start to improve quite a bit, and I relocated. Both doctors, including Dr. Soto, recommended that I leave the Gulf. And I left on November the 15th, and I've been up in Alabama ever since, and I make my trips down here to get treatments. Living in the cleaner air environment, it makes a big difference for me. Now, I've been down here this week. I've definitely gotten worse. You see what's going on with my eyes. This is brand new. I haven't had any issues with my eyes ever in my life. I come to Dr. Soto's office twice a week. Generally, I do detoxification IV on Mondays. I do chelation on Fridays for the heavy metals. Your diet is a big part of this. I've had to completely change my lifestyle. The products I use, the food that I eat, and getting me stable is the key. It's a slow process. And over time, I've learned that if I exert myself, and I'm not one to sit back on the couch and die. I've always had a very active lifestyle, been a hard worker all my life. So I tried to fight this physically, thinking that it would help with the process. And I was wrong. Every time I exert myself, I would just completely crash. The hardest part is the mental part of it. That's the biggest fight for me, is to try to keep pushing to get better. I do believe that the treatments are sustaining me because I've had to go without 1 week, and that week I crashed. And I call it a crash. That's when all of the symptoms come back and my whole body hurts. I basically fall apart. The traveling back and forth for treatments is really all I can do. And now it costs me $700 a week to do what I'm doing. And I'm dangerously close to being out of money. Realistically, I maybe have a month left that I can pay for this. And nobody has paid anything for me. Nobody's offered help. I've tried to work my claim as best I can. I've had to hand everything over to, lawyers, of course, because I don't know what else to do.